Hey man, you're putting swear words into my video. Okay, I think the stream is up, so we should be able to start now. Does anyone have a guess of why we're doing this on Wednesday instead of Saturday? No, I think we're going to do one on Saturday too, although I looked at the next one and it's got a bunch of stuff, like it's like 10 pages long. So I might have to, I don't know, we'll see, but I'm going to try and make Saturday first. Actually, the reason we're doing this one early is because this is a pretty short game. Yeah, this one's pretty short, but that doesn't mean it's not exciting, right? So we've got Shusaku against Showa, and let's take a look. Oh, wait. Why is Shusaku white? Sorry, I need to switch the names. I wasn't thinking there. Shusaku's black. Wait, he's not 6-dan either. I need to switch that too. Sorry. Okay, I think we're good to go now. Anyone guess where the first move is? Everyone should know by now. It's always the same thing. Yep, R16. And white. So we've got our standard Edo style period game going on here. Yeah, okay, what next, Fraud with? They're always the same. This is like the standard one. Which approach? Taisha? Can't do Taisha yet. P17, that's right. This is like so many games started like this. And black? This is actually the first time we see the true Shusaku fuseki that he's famous for. C4, yep. This is like the true Shusaku fuseki. So up here, I've said this before, but the top right is 1 against 1, right? So weaker players will always feel like they need to help their A stone, but that's not true. There's 1 stone for both sides there, so no rush. Nobody's stronger than anyone else. And if anything, black is more in the corner, so black is actually fine there. And okay, where's the next move? Let's see how far you guys can take this. This is a super standard Edo style game. Yeah, R5. Not Taisha just yet. Um, White tries to approach as many corners as he can because he doesn't want to. He wants to like limit the number of actual enclosures black can get because there's no komi, right? So normally you don't want to get an enclosure. Um, there's no actual commentator listed for this game, by the way. I think maybe John Power just did it. There's no pro listed. But there was a comment that, for example, if white just plays here, which is reasonable, completely reasonable. You did it, Jay? Okay. So what Jay said is that now, black can play here or here. And when white approaches, where's our ideal pincer and extension move? There's several choices, but yeah, not H3. H3 would probably be fine, but yeah, based on the ideas of that time, this is what would be played. It's a 3-space pincer, and it's also working really well with these guys. You could pick other ones as well, but that's probably what would happen at that time. So white approaches, and then what's the next move? This is Shusaku Fuseki. Yeah, Q15. So he plays his famous kosumi. So let's try to see some of the things that this move does. First of all, like I mentioned, it's 1 against 1 in the upper right, and no one can necessarily get in any trouble, but whoever plays next gets to choose like a joseki, right? So like white could press down and keep black low and then make a wall towards the top. If he plays next, he could also start a fight like with a Taisha. He could also somehow pincer, right? So there's things white can do. Um, and so the first thing, that this kosumi does is it defends the R16 stone in some way. The second thing it does is it raises the position onto the fourth line, which now means that if we extend to something like A, that's a pretty nice area, right? If we just extend to, get rid of those marks, if we just extend right away, it's not a big deal because white can just flatten that immediately. So that's not interesting, right? We're raising the position first. Also, it prepares to press white down with this A move, so that could be useful for getting influence. We could also decide to pincer white in some way. So I know this move it's usually called slow nowadays, but it does a whole bunch of things. The comment in this case said that it kills like 4 birds with 1 stone. So it does a lot of stuff, right? And now we get the Taisha. Because again, Q15 doesn't put a bunch of direct pressure on A, so white can play away. Yeah, there's definitely something to what Honeyboo just said there. But yeah, there's something to what Fraudwith said as well. Okay, so we're starting a Taisha. So what does black need to do here? What's black's goal in the lower right? This is crazy how many comments there are now. I'm not used to this many comments. Cut and fight. Um, yeah. What I'm thinking, yeah, I think of it more of how Jay said it, but it's the same idea. I think of it as, the inside weak stone needs to get out. And that's just because, Mr. Yang, I've done enough lessons with him, and so that's how I think of this. So black's got to come out, right? And separate white. Really, really basic. Um, and white is going to try and not allow that to happen. So this gets really, what am I sticking with? I'm sticking with it. That you said it? um, so white's going to wedge in and this is going to get complicated, right? This is the beginning of the Taisha. So we want to use all our stones together. And A is the Atari. It's not complicated. It's fun. A is the one that uses all the stones together, right? B would not use the stones together. It would cut them apart. So we're going to want to use this one. Of course, white has to connect. And now here we've got 3 stones. And the way Mr. Yang looks at this in the basic sense is which stone is more important. And in the general case, what he would say is that the inside stone, the cornerstone at B, is more important. So that's going to tell us how we want to connect. So we would connect here. There are variations pretty much everywhere in this thing. You can connect at C, but this is the basic. White has to cut, so there's only one move to make all the white stones work together. Nothing else will make the white stones work together, right? Need to help our cutting stone. And now it's a cross-cut situation. So white needs to ask, can white cut or can white kill any black cutting stones or group right away? If so, white should do that because then white would be connected, but he can't. So white needs to help the more important group first, inside weaker group, and he does that by taking R3 because that's the base for both sides. Again, black can't capture any white stones. Actually, he can capture A, but that would be meaningless, right? So black's got to help his inside weaker stones. Let me show that really quick. If we cut, if we capture this one, the problem is The real cutting stones are still alive. No, that's the ear-reddening game you're thinking of, Vincent. A couple more weeks for that. We'll be on that one. That's with Genan Inseki, ear-reddening game. So now White's going to help his 2 stones by connecting. I don't think the blood vomiting game was Shusaku. I think it was maybe Jowa or Jowa's maybe. Yeah, Jowa. Okay. Which stones do we help now? Which stones need more help? A. Oh, okay. I thought that you guys would actually say that. Actually, B is normally what we help here. The A stones have a big open road, right? Whereas the B stones are about to get surrounded. So, yeah, good, Vincent. Surrounded in 1 move. That's the Shy Ghost coming out of you. Sounds like that sounds like something Shy Ghost would say. And same for White, right? The A stones are already out in the center. The B stones are the inside stones, so we got to get those ones out. So we come out, and now Black needs to help the 2 stones. So we're going to jump. R7 is yet another Joseki variation. You can look it up. It's just a different Joseki. I wouldn't be able to tell. I'm nowhere near strong enough to tell you like would it fit this situation or not. But I do know this is kind of like the standard one. Why not R6? This one? Just pushing from behind, right? Right. So White would rather try and get ahead here a bit rather than push from behind. And now, Black has to jump. And White's got to help his 3 stones. How to help these 3? Uh-oh. Okay, good. For a second I thought I didn't have the audio set up and that the video wasn't going to have any sound. But it seems like it's good. Okay. P7. P7, that looks pretty aggressive. P7 would make all the stones solid, like, right? Like, how do you know you don't want to use A or contact at B or do something else, right? Let me click the move. White plays here. This is not the normal move, though. The normal move is to jump here. Black will answer. And then White will play something like that. But in this case, he does something a little different. So just 1 line difference, but this actually makes a big difference in how they play. This one is more towards Black's inside group, right? So it's kind of like getting ready to surround Black's inside group. So that's why that's why Black responds. Why not pressure the stick immediately? Like, so you want to attack this thing right now? The A stones aren't strong enough to support that, right? Right. So Black's got to get stronger first before he's going to try something like that. But this is aiming at attacking those. That's what I was getting at. It's 1 line different. White is actually aiming at A. So Black changes something. Also, this M6 stone is not putting as much pressure on the bottom group. It's a little further away. Black decides that he doesn't want White to get A. So he answers over here. The commentary said that allowing White A would be unbearable. For example, This doesn't feel too good. Now, white's prepared. A is more prepared than B. Yeah, that does hurt. We don't know exactly what we're going to do in that situation. So he jumps, but that gives white a good move. I would be surprised if anyone gets the next move, except maybe Dragon or Honeyboo because he's seen the Kifu. K3, not quite. L4, nope. K4, yeah, guest pass. How about that? It's a pretty beautiful move. Whenever you can make an elephant eye, but your opponent actually can't afford to come through it, it's kind of cool. Oh, you just remembered. You've seen this game before. That's cool. So white's actually pressing black down here. Why is it an elephant eye? Are you asking why it's called that? Or are you asking why is he doing an elephant eye? I don't know why it's called that. That's just what it's called because it's a big, I guess. Elephants probably have big eyes. Don't ask me. Black actually has to play submissively. He comes down here. So, yep. Because this is what your opponents would play, right, Vincent? This is the type of thing you complain about. But there's no, as black is doing this, the bottom group is just getting, yeah. Black can't afford to do that. Just because I complain doesn't mean it works. Yeah, so, but now it is kind of weak, right? Because black's prepared. So how does white fix his shape up in Sente? M4. Very nice, Fraudwit. That's going to be Sente, right? Because otherwise white can Hane. So black extends. I thought that was really nice by white. I thought this was pretty cool. He continues to help this group get it a bit stronger. Also with this move, this A move, it's making the B area less important. It's harder for anyone to really get any points over there. So they're not going to do that just yet. Black makes this exchange. Protects K5 cut too. Yeah, good point, right? A, B, C, D. So what Dragon is saying, if black cuts here, first of all, we can just ladder it right now. But even if we, even once the ladder is gone, it's really easy to give up one light stone. Why not upper left? I'm not exactly sure, Jay. It seems to me that this was, at this time, they just really felt like this was a good exchange for black. Every single game I watch where black gets C and white doesn't respond, black pretty much does this as soon as he gets a chance, makes this exchange. Nowadays, I'm not so sure that pros would agree because I think they would say you don't really know if you want to press or you want to pincer yet. Not sure, so maybe they would leave it. But at this time, they just always did this. Yeah, they flatten it. And the thing is, you can still pincer from A. That's the thing. Like you can continue pressing with like B, or you can change to a pincer at A. Right. So Vincent's asking, is that influence really useful? And that's what I would think about as well. But I know this is definitely common. So he just does that real quick. And then he does indeed play in the upper left. So that's just an exchange they like to make at that time. And white pincers. And now here's where the game starts getting really interesting. Black doesn't help the A stone directly. he actually switches to what I was just talking about. He pincers here. This gets really complicated really quickly. White's got to come out. And then he makes a two-space extension here. And notice this aims at a next move. If black can get something like A, that would mean that the B stone got sealed in, right? So we need to help the B stone right now. How should we do that? Is John Boy here? John Boy's not here. That's too bad. D15. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's one of the first things we think about, right? E15, E15 looks a little strange. E16, is that what you meant? Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. F17. C16. Yeah, we're getting like all the ideas here. Good, so let's see what white does. White kicks. And let's think about why that is. So this is like the natural move we think about, but the problem is that black stone in the corner can still live, and then white's going to get a wall, and black's already on the top. So can you kill that group on the top? Probably not, right? So questionable to make this wall in this case when there's already a group up there. So what he's doing is he's saying, okay, I'm going to take the practical approach instead. I'm going to try and get points. Right. Good point. Fraudwith is saying it's especially hard to attack or kill the A stones when there's a weak group next to him. So white decides to do this. He kicks first and then he plays this. So, you know, white's settled and black's two stones are a little heavy. A lot of things going on here. A group, B group, C group, D stone. And so here, this is where this gets kind of interesting to me, is I would feel like this is already complicated. I would feel like, okay, A could be a problem for me, B could be a problem for me. But what Shusaku does is he plays here, which this seems like it could create just yet a third thing, right? And I might be tempted to criticize this move if I didn't know any better who was playing it. But what you have to think about is if hey honey, if black just plays some sort of jump, no points. Never going to be any sort of points in that type of move, right? And then white can just do something on the left. So what black wants to do, and also black knows that he has a forcing move at the triangle, which is going to help him. So he's saying, you know, the A points or the A stones are not for making points. I just need to make sure that those don't die. And you can't kill them. So I'm going to take a profit move on the left. Yeah, it does start a running fight. Good, Merrick. So now white's move is interesting too. You don't see this move too often, right? Just Nobi. And the reason he's doing that is because if he jumps, then he's going to give the connection Tesuji underneath, right? So white does not want black to connect. D12 also an option. Yeah, I wondered about that. Because this disconnects too, right? Black will probably answer. At which point extend or maybe jump. Wow, so many comments now. This is like impossible for me to keep up with them. Yeah, I think if white goes this way, he's still not going to be able to get the A stones. So he's not going to touch black. I guess that's what I would say. Right? Like this sort of move, who asked the question? I think it was Fraud with. This sort of move is more where like white has stones in this area. You agree, Fraud with? And we're like bearing in on black. But in this case, it's black side, so doesn't make too much sense. So he just plays here, and now black says, you know, I still have another moment still. So I'm going to play from the big side. And yeah, this looked pretty crazy to me until I slowed down and looked at it again and thought of it from that perspective, you know, that these two stones aren't going to get points. So he's just trying to be as efficient as he can be. Yeah, now white kills him and the game ends. We can all go home. Not quite. White jumps out. And now black doesn't have any more time anymore. So we're going to make our peep. White has to answer this, otherwise there's going to be two cuts, and black can just cut something off and capture. So he connects, and black connects for now. So there's like an A, B, C cut, but that's not going to work directly, right? Because black could just get out still. G18. You're talking about this, right? Fix like this? I don't know the specific differences of this move with the solid connection. It seems like maybe black will get some more forcing moves, but that's about all I could say. Yeah, so this seems to be more worried about like points and maybe some endgame on the top, where the idea of this one is like, let's be as solid as possible so that I can like cut strong and not leave any forcing moves. Takes a liberty from black. That's true, yeah. Okay, so where are we? So we're here now. White can't really cut. Now, what's funny here, white is sort of finding himself in the same position that black found himself with these two stones. How do you make points with those stones? So can anyone guess white's next move that doesn't know this game? If you use the same principle, this is pretty funny. C9, yeah. He plays C9. Isn't that crazy? He doesn't know, like, how can I make points with the A stones? B is the big area. I'm going to play in the big area, threatening to connect under. And black, you can't kill my A stones. You've got all sorts of Aji over here. Like, how many Sente moves does white have over here? A Sente, B Sente, or wait, B, C, D. So many Sente moves over here. Yeah, so he tries to go for the big area. And now black descends, threatening the corner. White plays another super solid move. Notice how white is playing A instead of B, which again I think is one of those don't leave a lot of forcing move things. For example, if you played B, maybe this triangled spot could have some sort of Sente value. Maybe the Hane at C could have some sort of Sente value. So he plays that exchange. Let's see, what's E9? E9. No. And now he drops again, threatening to connect under. And he says, are you going to let me connect under? And white says, well, no, I guess I can't. So white drops down too. This is a pretty funny game, right? Like, no B, no B, no B, no B. And I'd like everyone to like appreciate, well, there was a certain level of being afraid at this point, right? That maybe black is biting off more than he can chew. And this game amazes me so much because the next thing we know, let's see what Shusaku does here. Let's see how quickly he turns this situation into his favor. That jump is pretty much sente. And white responds. And suddenly, it seems like white is the one that is getting surrounded. It's pretty cool, right? White's a really strong player too, though. He runs with the knight's move. White, how can he do that? Can anyone tell me why he can do that? Yeah, this weakness. If black tries to do anything to cut the A stone off, to cut through the knight's move, right after that we're going to see white cutting, cutting the A stone or the B stones off. So black can't actually do that. That's what's happening there. Stone's touching this. Stone is touching stone. So unfortunately, black has to push from behind here. White walks ahead. And now black plays a vital point. Where's the vital point in white shape? Yeah, the dog's face vital point. So, Crois calls this break the dog's face. And if you get used to looking for this in your games, it's a really nice move. This hurts. It does sound really mean, huh? Break the poor little dog's face. Um, yeah, so he gets this vital point. Yeah, at least it's not a puppy. And the next move, white might h14 before j12. Yeah, I wondered about that, Dragon. Like maybe white should take this vital point first, right? So that his shape doesn't get destroyed so much. But I mean, you would know better than me. This is this is more your thing, crazy fight. But I definitely wondered about this too. Yeah, sure seems sente to me. So I'm not sure. Yeah, is this what Vincent's saying? Maybe Vincent's right. Does this just fix in sente? F12. Aha. So Dragon's saying I have a sente too. Yeah, it's definitely a fight. Something to think about. Yeah, let's just assume he read everything out and white couldn't do that. No, it's definitely something interesting. I'm not going to pretend to know the answer. The next move is actually, this is the losing move. This is like the shape that white wants to play if it works, but unfortunately it doesn't work here because black says, aha, I'm just going to cut you. So white actually needs to connect. He's already in endgame, yeah. This is endgame for him. White just needs to connect, and the game seems pretty good for black to me, but that's what he needs to do. And the comment said that maybe what Ito Showa was hoping for was black to pull back and white to answer. And now later in the game, white could try this sequence. ABC. Let me just click it. So later on, let's assume white's safe. His stick is safe now. Yeah, he said they said that J14 showed careless reading. So peep, peep, and this. So perhaps white was trying to get this, aiming at this follow-up later, which would split some stones off. That was sort of the hypothesis in the comments. It was also pointed out that the worst possible move would be this Hane, right? When we don't want to leave forcing moves, we extend. But it's actually a pretty common habit to Hane. This would give white sente. and now he would be able to make the next move in the fight. But anyway, Black jumps on this opportunity to try and cut White, and White can't really see playing A directly working, so he Hanes here. He's trying to make something out of this, right? There's still weaknesses in Black too. No? Why doesn't A work? What's A? Oh, this one? Yeah, it's complicated though because I know what you're talking about. Like I looked at that too. Like if we just look at it simply, oh, F15 and then I kill you. But the problem is there's stuff at E14 too. Yeah, it gets pretty complicated. There weren't diagrams for this, so I kind of had to look at it on my own and tried to figure it out the best I could. But for example, if we play here and he just answers normally, now for sure we can cut. If he plays here, I'm not sure if Black can connect. This gets really complicated. Like if we just answer everything, it seems like White's going to be okay. D10 connects both. D10. When D10? I'm going to give control to Dragon. You want to show us? Oh, nice. Very nice. So simple, but I completely missed that. Thanks, Dragon. That's a pretty move. And it's not that complicated, but that's like a blind spot sort of thing, right? Cool. So White Hanes. Hi. Black goes for this peep. And now if White connects at A, Black's just going to pull back at B. And it's going to be over. So White can't connect right now. White plays here. Black responds. It seems like these three are cut off right now. Okay, so these three are cut off, but White's going to try and do something. He peeps. And he tries to connect. Of course, Black is going to cut. Okay, and now we're cut. So what's White's only chance here? G14. Right, F16. That's the only way to make it into a semi-I, into a Liberty race. He has to cut. So he does that. Black gets some forcing moves here, though. Atari. Cut. He's about to capture 2 stones. And now White plays Atari. Normally, when we have 2 Ataris, we want to keep them in reserve until we know which one we need. So that means that White has a specific purpose for this move, and I'll show what that is in a second. So he Ataris first, and then he connects. Black can get this Atari and Sente. And now this is a big dumpling, right? Black plays here, which is Sente. Next, A would surround and kill that. So White has to come out. So let's go back and try to see what the function of this A stone is. So let's use the idea of keeping the Ataris in reserve and not do anything. Okay, now Atari, and where's Black's next move? K11, right. Oops, we're dead. But If white can somehow trick black into answering this move at A, then he can get out, right? So that's what the meaning of that Atari was earlier. You see that? It's a cool way of thinking about it. Of course, black will never answer this at A right now, so that's why he had to make sure he did that earlier. Um, so in the game, tricking black my specialty. So in the game, there's no K11, right? Because this A stone is helping. So we can jump out, jump out. Okay, so now it's A against B, and there's actually only one move left in this game. Where does black play? Tesuji. A13. Yep. And white resigns. So what's the meaning of this move? Remember these two stones? Um, this tesuji has to do with these two stones. So like right now, B has 6 liberties, right? B's got 6. A's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5. Yeah, this reduces white's liberties. So this is the end of the game. White resigns. But let's take a look. If white hanes on this side, when he connects, he's touching the B15 stone, and he actually just lost a liberty. Yeah, -1. And if he does, on this side, it's the same thing. He just lost a liberty. So at this point, white realizes that he's lost, this liberty race and also this game. And to go back to here, the commentary said that this was, careless reading because black has G12, which depends on A13 to win the capturing race. How careless of white not to see that, right? So that's what happened in this game. Yeah, I also wonder at what point Showa noticed. I'm like, by this point, I'm pretty much sure. Like, he has to know by here. He's probably just playing a resign sequence. But yeah, this was a nice, fun, short game, and we got to see some cool concepts, some cool stuff, and I didn't have to spend much time preparing. And we got done in 45 minutes instead of 2 hours. And we got another clean tree. I think I'm up to 4 now. Probably the next one's going to be long, like I mentioned. And I'll try to get it ready by Saturday. So hope to see you guys on Saturday. But yeah, the next one is another Miyamoto one. He's playing against Ito Showa again. And this one is like, let's see. Yeah, it's like 10 pages of commentary. The one we just did right now was a half a page. Well, a full page, but half of the pages is like taken up by pictures. This one didn't have much. So this one was kind of fun. Can white cap can white cap at clamp at G14 earlier? I'm gonna give you control again, Dragon. Oh, G14. You're gonna be the asker and the answerer of that question. You're the strongest one here, so you have to find out for us. You don't know? Yeah, Shusaku played tons of games with Ota Yuzo. We have done some Otayuzo games already, Griffin. So you can take a look on the YouTube page, and I think I've done at least one against Otayuzo, and there's going to be tons of more to come. Yeah, it doesn't get a lot of hits. Maybe I should let me link it. It's just my account. Yeah, it's just this one here. I upload them usually within a day. Oh, is there only 3 really, Honeyboo? Oh, there's 3 already, or are you saying there's only 3 out of the whole book? Oh, there's already 3. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of videos out there, so yeah, feel free to watch them and enjoy. Good night, Vincent, and see you all.